Good morning, everyone. Happy Monday. I am Carol Williams with Williams Immigration, and this is another Monday morning edition of Beyond the Soundbite, where we talk about all things U.S. immigration. So the first thing that I want to talk to y'all about is there has been a new visa appointment system used in some of the consulates, mostly in our consulates on the continent of Africa and some in Europe. So this new software was launched September of last year, so September of 2024. And as with most software, when it launches, it's been a little bit glitchy. Department of State is aware of these glitches. They are working on the glitches. But if you have been trying to schedule a visa appointment and you've had problems, actually just creating your account, problems with paying, it's been a little glitchy with scheduling, and just sort of your overall user experience is a little bit wonky. No, you're not alone. And this is just honestly what happens with new software. But Department of State is aware of this and they are working on it. So if you are trying to book an appointment, a visa appointment in any of the consulates that are on the continent of Africa or in some of the countries in Europe that has this new software, we are in fact seeing problems. So hold on, Department of State knows about it and they're working on it. The next thing I want to talk to you guys about this morning is H-1B registration. See, normally I would start with that, but I know how y'all get about me in H-1B season. So H-1B season, it's here. It's been here for a while. We now have the dates for the registration, which are March 7 through the 24th, both days, noon Eastern time. So noon Eastern time, March 7 to noon Eastern time, March 24th. Those are the beginning and the end dates. If as an employer, you have not found your login information from last year, now is the time, now is the day to stop doing whatever you are doing and find that login information, okay? If you are new to H-1B online lottery registration, meaning you have never entered someone into the lottery using the online system, you need to go in and create an organizational account in the My USCIS system. The only thing I can guarantee you about the H-1B lottery this year is what I guarantee you all every year, is that the registration will be glitchy and it will have some issues. That is the nature of software. So it has issues every year. Every single year they have done this via the online system. There have been some issues. So expect some issues, right? Expect a little bit of glitchiness. At this point, I just call that normal. But this is exactly why you don't want to wait until the very last day on March 24th at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time to enter your lottery registration. So make sure that you are entering it early enough in the process so that if you do have glitches, if it is a little bit wonky, if you do experience some issues, that you can reach out to the email address that they provide or a phone number that they provide, so that you can get your lottery registration in. The next thing we're going to talk about is Department of State oversees all the consulates all over the world. We know that. Some of the consulates have tightened up and are becoming more restrictive on those applicants that they will process without an in-person interview. Frankly, this is not a surprise. Interviewing without an interview, so waiving those interviews, was always discretionary. It was never something that was going to be set in stone forever. It was really put in place primarily to help get through some of that backlog coming out of COVID. So we knew at some point, that was going to end. And so we are here where it is now ending in sort of a one by one sort of consulates are making those decisions. So I would recommend that you check the website of the consulate that you will be applying at. Not all consulates are handling this the same. Some are doing it now. I predict some will do it later. But what we are seeing now is that the Interview waivers are being limited to people whose visas expired within 12 months of the day that they want their, their new appointment, their new visa appointment. And they are limiting that to individuals that are essentially renewing visas in the same category. So if you are switching visa categories, if you're, then that's not going to work. Then they're going to want to see your smiling face in person. If you are renewing in the same visa category, but your current visa expired more than 12 months ago, they are also not going to, they're going to want to see your smiling face in person. So just know that some consulates are reducing and tightening up the categories of people by which they are not having in-person interviews with. So make sure that you check that website and check it often. Check it up to your actual appointment time. These changes can happen at any time. So just make sure that you are checking your emails for any updates and also checking the website for any updates. So I also have an update to travel, traveling into the US. If you are a current green card holder, meaning you have the physical card, or you have what we call an I-551 stamp in your passport that is evidence that you are a green card holder. And green card is the same as lawful permanent resident. So if you are a green card holder and your evidence is a physical card or an I-551 stamp in your passport, and the and here is very, very important, and you have a pending notice to appear, which means that you have been placed in deportation proceedings. So if you are a green card holder and you have a pending notice to appear, when you are now re-entering the US, you are being detained. Those folks are now being detained by CBP and then having a conversation with ICE. So keep that in mind. Yes, the green card says that you can travel, but by also having a notice to appear, meaning that you are in deportation proceedings, if you currently leave the US on your way back in, you may be put into immigration detention. So please understand that. This again is only for individuals that are lawful permanent residents, have a green card or an I-551 stamp in their passport, and they have a currently pending notice to appear with the immigration court system. So keep that in mind. That firmly falls under the can I travel versus should I travel. Can you travel? Absolutely. You can leave the country, you can go and travel and do whatever you would like. The question really is, should you travel? And the should you travel at this point is no, if you meet the criteria of having a of lawful permanent residence and a notice to appear. They will place you, they are placing people who fit these, who fit this criteria. They are putting them into deportation proceeding or deportation detention. So just keep that in mind if you are thinking about planning travel. If you have a green card and you're thinking about planning travel and you're just not sure, please reach out. My office is happy to do a consultation with you and kind of look at your individual situation and sort of have that conversation of can I travel versus should I travel. The next thing I want to talk about, I've talked about this for a while, y'all. The Department of State CEAC system, CEAC, that's the system where you complete your DS-160 if you are a non-immigrant visa applicant, or your DS-260 if you are an immigrant/green card applicant. The system is wonky. The system has some issues. It times out on you. If you have used that system, you understand the frustration. And frankly, I think Department of State is probably kind of tired of hearing of us private sector folks talk about it. So they are working on it. You are getting error messages that may say invalid image detected, web service unable to scan file, or submission error. You may be having problems, uploading documents. So it is a difficult system at best to work in, but it is the only system we have. Department of State understands that it's difficult. Department of State understands that there are some issues. They are working on them, but we still have issues with it. So just know that it's just probably going to be wonky for a little bit longer. And we're just going to have to deal with it. For my employers and employees out there, the Immigration Service, Department of Homeland Security through USCIS, is terminating TPS, which stands for Temporary Protected Status, for nationals of Venezuela and Haiti. What this really means for employers is now is the time to figure out, one, who is working for you pursuant to work authorization under one of these programs. And once you identify all of those folks, now is the time to figure out if there is a plan B for you to be able to employ them. Are there other work authorized statuses, other work authorized visas that you can sponsor these employees for? And to be frank, you probably never thought about it before because they came with work authorization and it just wasn't something that you needed to think about. Well, now you need to think about it. So for your employees that are from Venezuela and from Haiti and are working pursuant to TPS, those employment authorization documents that were issued according to TPS, now is the time that you want to start looking and seeing if there are other options for you to sponsor them for other work authorized visas. The next thing I want to talk about are U.S. passports. Based on an executive order that came out, I want to say in January, but it's here regardless. It's Executive Order 14168. No longer allows for U.S. passports and for consular reports of birth abroad. That's when U.S. citizens have children that happen to be born overseas, and then you want to bring them back into the country. Department of State issues a consular report of birth abroad for that child. Those passports and consular reports of birth abroad will no longer contain the X for the sex marker of that individual. So moving forward, those two documents will only reflect male or female, so M or F, and it will be based upon the biological sex at birth. That is coming directly from an executive order from the White House. That, y'all, is all I have for this Monday morning. Again, I am Carol Williams with Williams Immigration. We are a boutique immigration law firm. If you have any questions about anything that I've talked about today or anything with respect to sponsoring an employee, or if you're a U.S. citizen and you're looking to get a green card for an immediate relative, feel free to reach out to my office. You can reach us. We'll get a consultation scheduled. But that's all I have for this Monday morning. Have a great rest of your Monday and a beautiful